Objectively, what is the best track in Mario Kart Wii? It's not an easy question to answer, but by the end of this video, we will. Welcome to Objectively, the series where we find objective answers to subjective questions. Obviously, the best track in the game is a matter of opinion. There's no answer that's completely right, but different answers are objectively better or worse than others, and there is one answer, by however small a margin, that is better than all the others. Let's get started.
For this video, we're going to be looking at the 16 original tracks in the game because it's unfair to judge them against remakes of older tracks. Let us know if you also want to see a video where we choose the best retro. This is mainly going to be done by process of elimination, and looking at these 16 tracks, there are 4 that stand out as a lot worse than the rest because of their simplicity, easiness, and there's just nothing unique or interesting about them. Those tracks are Luigi Circuit, Moo Moo Meadows, Mario Circuit, not the GameCube version, and Daisy Circuit. Almost everyone who's played the game agrees that these tracks are the worst in the game, or at the very least they're easy tracks for beginners that don't even begin to compare to some of the classic tracks we'll mention later. These were the easiest to eliminate.
Once we got the obvious ones out of the way, we decided to look at some rankings from the community, from Mario Kart experts like Nathaniel Bandy and u/AliGLCFC. And wouldn't you know it, those 4 tracks we eliminated were pretty unpopular. We figured that for a track to be objectively the best, it's necessary that almost no one dislikes the track. After looking at several different players' rankings, we decided to cut whichever track was ranked the worst, besides the 4 that we had already eliminated. Dry Dry Ruins was the first one eliminated. It's a solid desert race that looks good and has some cool changes in the track with each lap, but this video isn't entitled Finding the Objectively Most Solid Track in Mario Kart. The next track to be chopped was Wario's Gold Mine. It's truly a great track that looks really good, complete with challenging minecart obstacles and steep drops that make it feel like a roller coaster ride. In fact, it was the site of Amtrak Andrew's first ever Mario Kart win. Frankly, however, something has to win this competition, and this track just wasn't great enough to make it any further in the process. The other track to go was Moonview Highway. Moonview Highway executes the highway track genre to perfection. Unlike highway tracks in other Mario Kart games, such as Toad's Turnpike, the vehicles in Moonview Highway present a real threat to the player, moving at high speeds in both directions through beautiful urban and rural scenery. It's fun and challenging, but item attacks at the wrong time can derail your entire race, leaving much of the racing on the track up to luck. For that reason, it's out.
With those 3 tracks eliminated, we're left with 9. Using the same list we used to eliminate those 3 tracks, we looked at the top 5 of those lists. Any track not good enough to grace the top 5 of even one of those lists could not be the objective best track in the game. With this in mind, we were able to eliminate Toad's Factory, DK Summit, and Grumble Volcano. Grumble Volcano, infamous for its shortcut glitch, is always exciting, weaving past fireballs as the volcano crumbles around you, but unfortunately the scenery is dull and it's not very vibrant, it's lacking, and it's just not as fun to drive as the truly elite tracks in the greatest game of all time. Toad's Factory is definitely a unique track, but the yellow on brown, funky music aesthetic does not make it stand out, and there's nothing too special about driving the course. It's not a bad course, but not the best either. The combination of classic Mario elements and an industrial factory setting just didn't quite work out. DK Summit is the definition of a good but not great track. It's a nice snowy vibe, a fun layout, snowboarding Shy Guys, there's not much to complain about here. But, like so many of its peers, DK Summit does not stand out enough to make the cut.
Hey there, couldn't help but notice that you're still watching the video. I'll assume that means you're enjoying it. If that's the case, how about dropping a like? It makes us here at The Weekly Thing feel good. Comment below what you want to see from this channel, what you think of the videos. And if you're enjoying our content, please consider subscribing. It only takes a second, it's free, and you can always unsubscribe if you change your mind. Yes, this is from Dream, but he follows me on Twitter, so I can use any of his ideas for free. Okay, back to the video.
After a heart-wrenching round of elimination, 6 tracks remain, and the most difficult choices of our lives lie ahead. We decided to rank the remaining tracks in these 5 categories, which are ordered by importance, and here is how we rank them. 3 tracks lagged behind the others, so sadly, they were the next to go.
Let's start with Mushroom Gorge. When I think of Mushroom Gorge, the first things I think of are the bouncing mushrooms. NickHitt Beats. It's truly an iconic track that is beautiful and really captures the essence of what classic Mario is all about. It makes great use of Mario Kart Wii's new tricking mechanics, and overall it's just a very good track. However, the music isn't great, and more importantly, the layout of the track feels simple and not as interesting as some other courses. A major flaw in the track is the unpredictability that comes with the mushrooms. Of course, the chaos of the track is what makes it fun, but falling off a mushroom at a certain point often leaves you at a respawn point far away from where you started. Again, it's a good track, but with so many high-quality competitors, these little imperfections are grounds for elimination.
Coconut Mall is another popular track that we chose to eliminate. We might get some hate for this one, and it's easy to see why. The rush of adrenaline you get from seeing your me on a billboard inside the mall is like nothing else in the world. We've all thrown a controller across the room in anger when the infamous escalators change direction just as you're about to drive onto one. Remember to tighten the wrist strap before playing. And the music? Well, it's objectively Mario Kart's finest. This phrase is overused, but it really is among the greatest vibes of all time. Link in description. However, it's a bit of a red flag when the most memorable part of a track is the music. The course itself simply lacks the amount of interesting features that the other remaining courses have. The escalators are fun, I guess, and the huge jump toward the end of each lap is admittedly pretty cool, but some of the shortcuts are long and difficult to use, and as a whole it's somewhat monotonous without the music to distract you. Sadly, and this pun is very much intended, Coconut Mall just doesn't quite have what it takes to reach the finish line.
Bowser's Castle was the other to be eliminated. This track is truly one of the best incarnations of Bowser's Castle the franchise has seen. For one, the course looks absolutely amazing, from the imposing entrance to the castle at the starting line, to the massive Bowser statue spitting fireballs at you. Speaking of Bowser spitting fireballs at you, this course is really challenging, in a fun way, especially the half-pipe section as you approach Bowser. However, while it's very good in all the categories, from music to visual appeal, like Mushroom Gorge and Coconut Mall, it's consistently just a bit below the other remaining tracks.
At this point, we've reached the best of the best, the tracks that stand above the rest in a game ripe with iconic courses. We made pro and con lists for the 3 remaining courses to determine exactly how to make the final cuts. Maple Treeway has just about all you could ever want in a Mario Kart track. The scenery is great, and there are fun shortcuts throughout, both Ultra and Normal. Every part of the track has interesting features, from bouncy sections of road to giant cannons to half-pipe ramps, and all of it fits seamlessly into the theme of the track without feeling forced. The cylindrical tree branches players drive on for most of the course make for a unique experience, not replicated anywhere else in the game. Maple Treeway is clearly a top 3 track, but it unfortunately won't get any further than this point because it has really the only significant flaws of the remaining tracks. The physics of the tubular tree branches often cause issues while driving, and sadly the positioning of the giant caterpillar obstacles often makes them nearly impossible for players to avoid. This major luck factor is just not ideal in a course that's otherwise very skill-based.
This brings it down to the final 2, Koopa Cape and Rainbow Road, and boy is it close. Koopa Cape is widely revered as one of the best tracks in Mario Kart Wii, and it's easy to see why. Another great looking track, players first traverse rocky cliffs before taking a sharp turn into rushing rapids, where players have to make split-second decisions between driving in the water for high speeds, or briefly going off-road to hit boost panels. These trade-offs and risk-reward scenarios are always fun and add an extra element of strategy to the course, as players try to gain whatever edge they can heading into the narrow final stretch. To close off each lap, players continue to use the rushing water for a speed boost while dodging spinning beams of electricity in an underwater pipe. In all, it's a great track that certainly deserves its place among the best of the best. We're really grasping for flaws here, and to be honest, there aren't any. It's just a really fun track to drive that really exceeds the sum of its parts. In fact, we've decided that Koopa Cape is the most objectively flawless course in the game. But that's not what we're trying to decide.
Rainbow Road has a couple of minor flaws. It's not a totally original track, and it can be too difficult for casual players. The fact that it's not original doesn't really detract from it only really makes the other tracks better by comparison. The difficulty is one of the most charming and exhilarating parts of the track, actually, and anyone who plays Rainbow Road knows what they're getting into. Even in a casual game like Mario Kart, a little difficulty is always necessary to keep the game exciting. And looking beyond these minor flaws, if they can be called flaws at all, this track has the most upside of any in the game. The scenery is better than any other, the music is fantastic, and most importantly, the track is incredibly fun to drive. Each part of the track is different, and the physics of the road make it so you can cut the turns incredibly tightly, and the wavy road adds variety with every lap. But most importantly, every boost panel, every small shortcut, every decision at a fork in the road has a risk factor that is in perfect balance with the reward of the save time. This track is incredibly balanced, and it's a blast to drive. At this point, you can probably see where this is going, and we've all come to the agreement on which track stands above the rest. It may not be your favorite, but we've found the answer to our question. Despite the minor flaws it has that Koopa Cake doesn't, its multitude of benefits mean that Rainbow Road is objectively the best course in Mario Kart Wii. Thanks for watching.